making dreams as real as the here and now, even your dogs. And now, from my Dark Matters collection, I present to you Dream Box 3. I used to think that I didn't dream. Like many, I wondered if I did, but just couldn't remember them. It was this question that triggered my idea for a dream machine. I envisioned it as a device that somehow could record dreams with complete audio and video playback. That thought rattled around my head for years as life got in the way, but it eventually found its way back home. However, as an ad man, I knew full well that completely original ideas are hard to come by. So I did the obvious. My Wikipedia search turned up two different so-called dream machines. The original 1959 dream machine stimulated the optic nerve with precise pulses of light that, when viewed through closed eyes, placed the user on the threshold of consciousness. This transition between wakefulness and sleep held the potential for producing hallucinations, including otherworldly sights, sounds, and feelings. A scaled-up, modernized version of the original dream machine was a large room that seated up to 20 people in a circular arrangement. Computer-controlled light pulses, combined with a surround sound system, took users on psychedelic acid trips without the LSD. As you can tell, these two dream machines had little, if anything, to do with actual dreams. It took a deeper, more dangerous dive into cyberspace to find what I was looking for. As it turns out, the third time was indeed the charm. It was my entry into the dark web that literally made my dream machine idea come true. It took some effort, but eventually I found what I was looking for on a darknet market site that I do not want to divulge, lest you go down the road I find myself on. When my Dream Box 3 finally arrived, it included the two different custom-fit headpieces I ordered, each with a Bluetooth connection to the control terminal and monitor. I was skeptical that the Dream Box 3 could live up to the expectations. Not just hallucinations and dissociative experiences, but the full spectrum of dream states as well. Features included variable intensity and duration levels, and high-resolution video and audio recording and playback. These claims seemed absolutely fantastical. However, the Dream Box 3 proved to be much better than advertised. And trust me, in my line of work, that reaction is the holy grail. I spent the first few weeks in the psychedelic mode. This feature was an obvious homage to the Dream Machine origins. To play it safe, I took daily trips with mescaline and psilocybin. Duration and intensity levels were short and low. I gradually moved into high-intensity and long-duration hallucinatory excursions with LSD and PCP. In retrospect, this was not the best idea I ever had, and I strongly advise against it. Watching my trips on slow-motion replay was absolutely surreal. It made the melting clocks of Dali seem like ordinary watches. I followed my tripping days, exploring the dissociative mode. The variety of options proved to be quite interesting. I was glad that I kept the intensity and duration at safe levels. My favorites were the fugue state, doppelganger, and out of body. I didn't care much for hypnotic, past lives, or sleepwalking options, and I refused to try amnesia for fear it might be irreversible. I held off using the afterlife option only because that voice inside my head told me to. I saved the best mode for last. The dream state options were incredible, and I continued to spend every night and some days in one of them. I decided to get the most uninspiring option out of the way first. My series of daydreams were pretty ordinary flights of fancy used to overcome boredom, They reminded me of those I routinely experienced back in high school English class. After that, the other dream states were mostly extraordinary. Lucid dreams had a clarity that made me fully aware of the ongoings, which kept me in this mode for quite some time. Lots of seriously interesting and often pleasant dreams. Knowing that you're dreaming while you are is a pretty cool experience. Controlling when it happens was even better. I struggled mightily with my symbolic dreams. Interpretation was never my thing, mainly because I had my doubts. Falling, flying, being chased, losing teeth, waterfalls, doves, mirrors, doors, clocks, snakes, and all the rest made me think that Freud was onto something when he said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Who knew that real-world inspiration could come in a dream? I looked out when my creative juices just wouldn't flow and a deadline loomed. My timely Epiphanies dream turned a light on and became one of my company's most successful advertising campaigns. It earned me a big enough bonus to pay for my Dreambox 3 and a few monthly car payments as well. I was lucky to find the recurring option repeated a dream well worth revisiting. I was glad that I kept the duration short enough so it didn't become monotonous. But watching myself win the World Series with a walk-off grand slam in Yankee Stadium on a nightly loop for a few weeks was just right. Watching the replay felt even more real. I made the big mistake of risking long duration and high intensity when I opted for nightmares. The playback was like watching the scariest horror movie ever, and to make it even more disturbing, I was the idiot who turned his back on the psychotic axe murderer, assuming he was dead. Not just a painfully gory demise, but embarrassing too. I had doubts about my terrifying premonitions dream, but I decided not to take any chances. The dream was so real that I swear I could feel the stranger's shove from behind as the speeding express train approached the platform. I've taken the bus to work ever since. My commute's a bit longer and a lot less convenient, but I thought it would be sensible to avoid tempting fate. Can you blame me? The visitation dream was unsettling at first, even eerie. My parents reassured me that they had found peace and comfort, and that eternal rest was much more than a phrase whispered in funeral homes, that it was real. In my dream, we shared fond memories and even laughed together like old times. These reassurances gave me great hope that we shall meet again, but not just yet. That second headpiece with the 23 Bluetooth electrodes was custom fit for my old dog, Bix. I always wondered if he dreamed. His frantically paddling legs sure made it seem possible. But now I know. And I even know what he's chasing, thanks to the record and playback features. I couldn't resist the shared dream option, and this time we ran together, chasing deer across the field of my country home, upstate. One night, I simultaneously programmed the premonitions and recurring options by mistake. To make matters worse, the control terminal was preset to long duration and high intensity levels. I spent the next 2 months watching my daily morning routine and commute to work get interrupted when a clearly deranged individual pushes me in front of an oncoming subway train. I wake up a fraction of a second before impact in a cold sweat. Cheating fate rarely ends well, but I still take the bus to work. And now about that road I've gone down and this somewhat cautionary tale. I've been clinically addicted to dreams for several years now. Can't stop and don't want to. When I'm not dreaming, I'm watching the replays. Quite the 180, don't you think? Coming from someone who swore he never dreamed. My colleagues insist my dreams are the product of whole language AI. I don't for a minute believe that my dreams are fake. That would be more than ironic if you think about it. And really, would it make any difference? But down deep, I know they're wrong. My friends tell me that either way, I've given up on reality, all for the sake of the imaginary and fantastical. No big deal, I say. So is almost everyone else in the 21st century. As the years passed, so did my old dog Bix. I loved him more than anything or anyone, and I still do. Watching our shared dreams running together has done little to quell my grief and depression. Not even my Dream Box 3 psilocybin mushroom trips have helped to ease the sadness. And so, yesterday, out of sheer desperation, I used the disassociative mode to finally access the afterlife option. Short duration, but high intensity. I'm completely convinced that what I experienced is real. I'll find out just how real tomorrow morning. I've decided it's time for me to take the subway. Thanks for listening.